Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to TraderMerlin Show. It is your Tuesday afternoon. It'll be trivia. Oh, man. Hold on. Let me fix that background. That is just ugly looking. Let me get you the thumbnail there to start. We're going to talk about the Starbucks news today. Sadly, this is one that's on my watch list. I've been kind of waiting for prices to go down just a little bit more, and unfortunately I missed that boat. Well, okay, here we go. Got my lights fixed. Things look a lot better over here. Yeah, look at that. No fuzzy stuff on the bottom. It is the 13th of August today, and I will not give you guys any trivia hints tonight. You can go to my Instagram feed and find out trivia if you are coming to trivia tonight. So, I'm going to start with the Starbucks news, and then we'll go into broader markets, and then I'll show you some of my random pictures from Ireland, some of the fun stuff that we did along the way. So, with regards to the Starbucks launch, here's what's interesting about today. A while back, you had their last earnings. The CEO did a horrible job of conveying to to investors what had actually happened and why those numbers were so bad. He was lambasted by just about every media outlet out there. What's his name? Laxman Narasimhan, I think, is I probably butchered his last name. But he really just did not give any information that the markets wanted. So what happened to Starbucks? Well, Starbucks got crushed. And it was one of those ones I remember specifically telling you that I was looking to buy Starbucks. I'd say I'm a big fan of buying quality companies that are going to be around, even though they may go through some short-term struggles, but like a McDonald's, a Boeing, they're not going to disappear. Nike, they were both on my radar, by the way. Boeing and Nike are on my list of potentials that I'd like to buy into. I'm just kind of waiting for it to dip a little bit more. And that same situation was with Starbucks when we saw it drop back here into these lows right around May 7th. And I thought we might actually go a little bit lower, but I guess that's what I get for being a little bit too risk averse at the moment. You can see we came right back down to these lows that go all the way back into June of 2022, bounced off that a second time, and then today just rocket launching to the upside. We did have a 24.5% increase today, and this is really a testament of how the media perceives people. After that announcement from Laxman, who's the CEO of Starbucks, I think a lot of people just lost faith in Starbucks. Like, you can't even give me clear guidance. You're not explaining what's going on. Your numbers were pretty bad. At least tell us something. And you knew this beforehand. You knew these numbers would be bad. Why didn't you give us any kind of warning? You suck as a CEO. Now, of course, Laxman, I think, actually comes from PepsiCo, so he comes from other big companies, but got the oust today. Now, the guy that they're bringing in, Brian Niccol, he is actually the CEO of Chipotle. Now, let's look at two different charts here. Here is Starbucks, which, of course, for the past couple of years really hasn't done much. It peaked in 2021 and has just been kind of falling ever since. Now, if you look at CMG, Chipotle was doing absolutely fantastic until what? Until the stock split, and I'm always of the opinion that a stock will sell off after the split, and sure enough, Chipotle has had a pretty aggressive sell-off since then. To where we closed at today, Chipotle is down 21% based off of that, or after that split. So nice sell-off there. Okay, now you look at what this chart is telling us. I was actually kind of surprised to see this. If you have a CEO who is as heralded as Brian Niccol is, and he gets a lot of good praise in the industry, at least from what I've read, I don't know him very much, you look at that big sell-off today, it was down 7.5%. At one point, Chipotle was down considerably more than that. At one point, we were down, let me get to the exact number for you, we were down 14% today, but look at the volume, look at the spike. This tells you, at least in my mind, that people were freaking out about this one because you just lost the guy who's been driving this ship. You lost your CEO, the move to the upside. Lori said I sold a put on CMG. Yeah, I still don't think this takes anything away from the company. I think Chipotle is a great company, but boy, losing your CEO on kind of a surprise announcement like that, you kind of thought there would be more damage here. But the volume, it's the highest, it might be the highest spike of volume ever. No, there's actually some higher spikes going back into 2018. But really, this is the highest spike of volume you've seen in 6 years actually 2020 had a pretty big spike as well. Either way, that is emotion, right? It's pain, right? There's a lot of people freaking out about it today. And I think that those of you who decided to sell some puts on I am Mark. Trivia will be tonight. I do think that selling puts would probably have been the good move to do today on Chipotle, especially after it's already sold off 24%. This is just kind of the icing on the cake. We'll see what goes on tomorrow. I may as well. We'll see if it goes down a little bit further tomorrow. I may sell some puts. That 48 level looks pretty good, as well as that 44 or 45 mark. So Chipotle not obviously being rewarded for this CEO departure, whereas Starbucks had that huge pop to the upside. Now, does this mean that the ship has been righted, that everything is okay, and just jump on the bandwagon of Starbucks here? I don't think so. Granted, there's a lot of optimism about the new CEO, Nickel, stepping in, and if he can do what he did for Chipotle, if he can do that at Starbucks, then wow, the glory days ahead. I think that's the narrative that the media is trying to spin right now, is saying this guy's going to change everything. And I don't think that, Laxman was a terrible CEO. I just think his communication was off, and his nonchalant, cavalier attitude towards the mainstream media when those earnings announcements came out, I think that left a sour taste. So you kind of got to get rid of that bad piece if you're Starbucks. Good move going after the lead guy from Chipotle, because instantly the market will look at it and say, well, this guy led that company to do these results. Hey, Starbucks could be good. I am not in the camp of looking to buy Starbucks tomorrow. If Starbucks has a sell-off and a pullback here, which is really tricky, because how do you target a price to buy on a pullback on Starbucks here? I don't know. I think that'll be a pretty challenging thing to do and figure out exactly where to buy that. Do you look at 90? Do you look for a close of this gap down around 77? I don't think you'll see that big sell-off all the way down to those levels. However, I do think you'll see a knee-jerk reaction with a little bit of sell-off out there for Starbucks, because this is a pretty big pop off simply changing your leader. And again, I think it was because the CEO there at Starbucks was perceived as just kind of not very transparent and maybe not doing a good job. See, I own Starbucks lower. Good. Today must have been one of those days where you had to rub your eyes twice, right? You just did this one like, what am I seeing this right? No, up 25%. Love it. Great. It was down but finished strong, thinking it may be a buy. Yeah, Steve, that's the thing. You look at how it finished. I'll bring up the intraday chart, and I think there's two pieces to this. Number one is that Starbucks obviously had a fantastic day, but so did our equity markets, right? We're looking at the NASDAQ was up almost 2.5%. You had the S&P up 1.64. So without question, part of this move was the rising tide floats all boats, right? It was brought up because the market was up. Now, granted, you can see the move that happened before market open. That's when that news came out about the CEO being dumped and a new one coming in. That was at 5 a.m. Of course, you also had your CPI data come out early this morning, which also was a factor to this. So we'll talk about that as well. But I think that part of this move is due to just a really robust equity market. But that said, could it continue? Sure. We did finish at the highs, and I think some of the other markets did as well. If you look at the NASDAQ, your NASDAQ finished at the high for the day. Your S&P finished at the highs of the day. So, yes, normally I would look at something like finishing at the high of the day, but almost everything finished at the high of the day. It was just the nature of the market today. So, I do like Starbucks, but I would not personally buy it right here. I wanted to buy it down around that $70 mark, but I did not do that, unfortunately. So, oh well. Can't win them all. Is this the buy, the rumor, sell, the news? And Oliver, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Think about it. The value of this company from a market cap perspective just increased by 25% simply because a new CEO came in. They didn't sell another product. They didn't create a new product. They haven't sold any more ice mocha frappuccinos. There's no more, breakfast muffins being sold. The numbers haven't changed at all. Just the leader. Now, as we all know, a good leader can do amazing things. And I think that the market reacted because of who they got, right? If they'd gotten the CEO of Ford, probably wouldn't have been the same result. Why? Because Ford hasn't done squat for the past 2.5 years. But you pick someone who has CMG under their belt, and granted, this isn't, not CNG, CMG. Granted, Chipotle's gains aren't exclusively due to that CEO, but, every single person that's watching this show right now would look at this chart and go, I want some of that. Sign me up. Where do I buy that, right? You would assume that this is leadership. This is team and leadership, and that all starts from the CEO. And I think that's why the markets rewarded Starbucks with such a big jump today. I don't think that fundamentally you saw a value change of 25%. You shouldn't see that big of a jump. So yes, Oliver, I am in the camp of buy the rumor, sell the news. I do feel like Starbucks is going to sell off, and Chipotle will probably have a little bit of a bounce here. Although Chipotle is probably the one that's the most injured at this point, right? Because it's already been weak since the split happened on June 26th. So we're not even actually we're just a month past that split date, and it's already been just dropping like a rock. Chipotle is the tough one in my opinion, because I don't really know where it's going to go. It feels like it's actually wanting to continue to drop to the downside, just because the trend has been weaker for the past month and a half, almost 2 months. Losing their CEO also is a big factor. Now, there's an interim CEO being stepped in. I think, who was the interim CEO? It was someone from the board of directors. They nominated an interim. I can't remember the guy's name. I think it was the chief operating officer, whose name is Scott. Scott Boatwright. So Scott Boatwright is this chief operating officer of Chipotle, and he is now the interim. And of course, they're going to be shopping around for a CEO going forward for Chipotle. But I would think that they're probably in good hands. So I'm actually bullish on if you look over the next week. I'm neutral to slightly bullish on Chipotle. I'm bearish on Starbucks just because I think it's an overdone, news event. You might get a little bit of follow through tomorrow, but over the next week, I would expect Starbucks to start to drift down a little bit till we can see the CEO actually step in, start making some plans, some statements, and maybe some potential changes there. Let's see, what do we got? Bill Ackman praised Brian Nickel during his appearance in the Lex Friedman podcast. Yeah, I heard that as well. I didn't see the Lex Friedman one, but I have heard really good things about this guy, and great, good. That's what you want as a company, right? You want people to look at your leader, praise them, and think they're very good at what they do, because then what happens is the culture at that company will follow that leader as well and rise with them. So, good companies, in my opinion, all start with the leader giving direction, giving leading by example. You look at Jack Welch, and he was all about leaders. He was all about having the right people in the right places. And, clearly Laxman, with his last comments about their company's earnings, didn't sound like a good leader. So who knows? Maybe this will all change here going shortly. Austin D said, I sold my Starbucks position today, bought call options at the strike price of 65 a couple of weeks ago as a longer-term trade. But, hey, 75% return. Yep. So you bought the call options at 65. Yeah, fine. Buying those call options at 65 might be. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at a different one. Let's go SBUX. Yeah, well, you're underwater on those call options, that's for sure. But you probably made up for it on the underlier. So, all right. Mike says, is the volume considered clean out on CMG? I did buy calls on it today. For me, yes. If we look at climactic volume, and here's the Starbucks chart as well. You look at climactic volume, Starbucks has not seen a spike of volume like this ever. I'm gonna try to go back here even further into time to see if there's any spike of volume that comes close to that. And you do have some that back here from 2009 on Starbucks, where the volume was 47 million in a day. The volume today on Starbucks is 156 million. So there's nothing ever. I'm going to really push my numbers here just to make sure. There's nothing ever, maybe this one here. Yeah, nothing ever in the history of Starbucks like a volume day like today. To me, that is a sign of euphoria. It's a sign of everybody jumping into something, and my guess is you'll probably see it reverse. Those climactic volume days like this are reversal candles for me. I'm not saying load the boat short on Starbucks. That momentum could carry through for sure, right? I think everybody agrees with that. But yeah, Mike, I would say that this is climactic or blowout volume is what they'll call it on Starbucks, and that same figure is on Chipotle as well. Although Chipotle has had other days with volume that has been as high as this, if not higher. So, ideally, when you see a big sell-off like this, and I was not watching it today, I was teaching a crypto class this afternoon, but in the morning session, we came down to the lows that, on Chipotle, we came down to the lows from August 5th. So just going back to Monday a week ago's trading, those lows were $47.98, so call it $48. Well, today, our dead low was $48 even, and you had giant volume. In my opinion, that's a pretty impressive demand zone, because you had the long bottoming tail today on Chipotle, came right back down into the dead lows from last Monday, and you had one of the biggest spikes of volume Chipotle has ever seen. In my opinion, that is a catch a falling knife level. So unfortunately, I did not catch that falling knife. Some of you did. You're selling puts today at 48 bucks would have been great. You would have gotten an amazing premium because people were panicking. And then all of a sudden it rebounded. You got a hammer formation today on it. You know, it does actually look like more upside, although, you know, I think we need to wait for more comments from Chipotle about what they're going to do going forward with regards to a CEO. Remember, Chipotle at any moment could name a CEO. Now, ideally, Chipotle is going to find a replacement for Nichols who is as good, or if not better. But poaching CEOs from other companies, that can get expensive, right? It could cost a lot of money for Chipotle, and then depends who that CEO is. If the population or the markets don't like that new CEO, Chipotle could take a big dive. So you got to be real careful when you have a replacement of a major executive like a CEO, because the volatility on those transactions or announcements can be incredibly high. So be careful with that CMG. Personally, I do think you'll probably see it bottom out here and move to the upside. All right. What else did I got? Let's see. Can you tell? Hope they don't fill in with the top. Oh, man, I need intel to hire. Yeah, you do need intel. You got to find someone to fill that role. Let's see. I stopped buying Starbucks years ago. Local coffee shops do better. You know, it's funny because given all these interesting changes that are happening in my world right now, I went back and I'm trying to spend some time each night working on that book, which is my white elephant that I need to get done. The comment there about, you know, Starbucks. No, I don't buy Starbucks anymore. There's local coffee shops. I would just make coffee at home. You can get coffee at home for, 25, maybe 50 cents a cup, whereas you go to Starbucks, you're spending $5 or $6. You do that every single day, you're talking $1,200, $1,500 a year of unnecessary expenses for a caffeine fix that you can do in your house. Now, granted, it's not as nice, may not be as great a coffee in your cool little mug there with your name on it. Merlin, your coffee's ready? You know, if you want to pay extra for that wanting and belonging, great, but man, it's expensive. You know, even McDonald's has coffee that's far cheaper than Starbucks. So certainly I think for anybody who's looking at their budgeting, looking at their numbers and expenses each month, I'm sure for a lot of people, Starbucks is a pretty big expense, and you could probably save yourself a ton of money by finding alternatives out there. Either way, I'm still bullish on Starbucks just because they're drug dealers, man. They are selling caffeine, and it's an addictive drug for sure. John says, over-roasted burnt garbage. I don't drink coffee. Okay, I can't say I don't drink coffee. I'll have a coffee maybe once every couple of weeks, and I can't even drink straight coffee. That stuff is absolutely horrible tasting. I like a mocha, which is basically just sugar with a little caffeine in it. That's what I'll drink. Les says, but didn't Chipotle know their CEO was about to leave? Yes. But could they have traded on the info? Probably not, because that would be considered insider trading. If you are, let's say, unless you're totally right here, this is where I have a problem with the SEC. If you look at what happened today, this isn't like all of a sudden Starbucks contacted him at midnight last night and this CEO came into work today and said, hey, sorry, Chipotle or Starbucks picked me up. I'm leaving tomorrow. It did not work like that. There is a process, negotiations, I'm sure. Out of courtesy to Chipotle, there was disclosure to them like, hey, and then they decided when to make this announcement because Chipotle had to say already up front, like, okay, we have an interim CEO. You can't have market panic and all of a sudden uncertainty. So they knew. However, you can't do anything. If all of a sudden trades were made based off that knowledge, let's say all of a sudden the CIO and the chief marketing officer decide to sell a whole bunch of Chipotle shares knowing that this is going to happen, they could get busted for insider trading. That would be the quintessential definition of insider trading, knowing that your CEO is going to be leaving and the announcement is going to happen in a couple days. Absolutely, people knew at Chipotle. But those transactions, if you were dumb enough to make that transaction, you'd be a huge red flag right off the gate and probably get busted for insider trading. So there you go. Drink high-quality Kona and you'll never go back. All right. I tried the Blue Mountain coffee in Jamaica. I just don't like the taste. Coffee's gross. A Keurig, yeah, you know what? Keurig's good. And here's the other thing. Way to get me on tangents, folks. Part of budgeting and growing your wealth over time is market timing deals. So, for example, you can go to Starbucks, and for those of you who use a Keurig, you buy your coffee cups there, and they buy the big boxes of whatever. So let's say you use the donut shop one, which we have here at the house. That box is like $50 for a case of the cups. However, Starbucks, once every 2 months, does a huge sale where it's like 30% off those coffee mugs. And if you know you're going to always be drinking it, just wait for it to go on sale. You'll save yourself 30%. You can put that 30% savings towards something else and growing your wealth. Lori says, I can't even stand coffee and ice cream or anything else. So I can do coffee, ice cream, but yeah, it's because it's got so much sugar in it. Mark says, isn't that what an NDA is for? Non-disclosure agreement. Yes. But he would have to be disclosing this to his board as a courtesy. The reputation of a CEO who just departed without saying a word to the executive team at the company he's leaving, extremely unprofessional. That would be frowned upon, I think, in any industry. So, all right, let me go. I got a few different. I have so many random shots. I couldn't really take the time to figure out what pictures to give to you guys or to show you guys, so I just clicked on a bunch of them on my phone. For some reason, I couldn't get my phone to link up properly and give me the pictures that I wanted. So I'll do my best to kind of give you a quick little glimpse of some of the beauty of Ireland. And I don't. All my pictures aren't in here. There's actually one that's not in here that I want to add in. So hold on 2 seconds as I bring up another picture here. One of the really cool spots that we went to was the island of Iran, and not Iran. I think it's Aran, and it was absolutely just stunningly beautiful. There was just so much cool pieces to see. One of the islands actually had this just giant boat on it, and the boat had been crashed many, many, many years ago, and it had just been rusted out, and it was absolutely gigantic. It was crazy to see how big this thing was, and that was one of my favorite parts. It was just abandoned on these rocks, this really cool rocky shore. But let me, I got a couple more I want to add in here, so bear with me. I'm trying to add them to a little slideshow for you. And then I'm going to show you my least favorite part. Has anybody here been to Ireland and driven? Have you ever driven in Ireland? That's the question. I like to think I'm a pretty good driver. Yeah, sure. Well, the roads there are very narrow, particularly when you get out in the countryside. Like, imagine a United States road, drop it by about 20%, the width, and then on the left-hand side is just walls of foliage when you get out in the country. I mean, we're talking straight up walls of trees and shrubbery, which was just insane. It was scary. It was very scary driving in that. So we got a rental car, and in the rental car, there we go. I got enough pictures ready for you. In the rental car, we wanted an automatic. I drive stick, but so we get there and they didn't give us an automatic. They give us a manual transmission, which was fine, but you're shifting with the opposite hand. It was just extremely stressful. Tofi says drove through Wales. I'm sure it was pretty stressful for you driving on the opposite side of the road. So it's scary. Like, some of these roads, guys, are so narrow. The driving, so my seat was on the right-hand side of the vehicle, and the steering wheel was on the right-hand side of the vehicle. So every time I'm trying to grab my seatbelt, I'm grabbing it my left shoulder, which is where in my truck the seatbelt is. No, I had to go the opposite. It was very confusing. There's actually a picture somewhere of me driving the vehicle, which you can see the stress in my arms. Like, I was very just locked in. But all right, let me go through a few. I'll just do it quick. I don't want to spend a bunch of time on this one. I usually don't like sharing all this personal stuff, but why not? You guys asked for it. So just don't get stuck behind a tractor, Tofi says. And now that's funny. We got stuck behind a tractor on pretty much like a 1 1/4 lane road. And we were stuck behind a tractor, and we were stuck behind a student driver. Oh my goodness, it took us so long to get where we wanted to go. Chris says, and they drive fast, stone walls on either side, narrow roads. Yeah. Katie was riding passenger seat, which is on the left-hand side, was just white-knuckled and had to close her eyes sometimes. It was that scary. All right, so let me go back up to the top, and I'll just show you a couple of these, and then we'll move on. One thing that I noticed about Ireland, which I really appreciated, was just how old it is. I'm an American. I'm proud to be an American. I was not born here, but I don't consider myself a German. I consider myself an American. I've been here most of my life. My family moved here when I was 4, and I'm proud to be an American. I love my country. One thing that's embarrassing about this country is our level of history. Like, we have almost no history. You look back and you say, 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, right? And he didn't even land in the United States. He didn't land in the United States. He landed in the Bahamas. He discovered the Americas, not America. And you look at some of our buildings, like going back to Boston, going back to the East Coast, beautiful architecture. You're like, wow, I love these buildings. It's so young. We were in castles that were built in the year 1000. And just to think that they're still standing today is mind-boggling. So in Ireland, there's so many castles. And castles can be a very loosely used term. When I think castle, I'm thinking like the movie Braveheart, where you've got these, 30,000 room mansions with moats and cities inside the castle walls. That's not quite what we had, although there was a lot of different castles to see, which was pretty gorgeous. American. I'm American, NJ. So here is there's no rhyme or reason to these pictures. This is just a really cool castle. I think that this was in Kilkenny, which is one of my favorite spots. I love castles. We went out to this place. One of my favorite things to do when I travel, and I think all of you should do this. A lot of times when people travel, they get in their little bubble and they're like, oh, I'm going to go explore and check out this, this, and this, and this. What you should do is you should go to local restaurants, pubs, bars, and just ask to share a table with somebody. And we did that a few times where it's like we asked this one couple, could we sit with you? And they were from Wales. And next thing you know, they were just delighted to have someone to talk to. Another time it was locals from Ireland and like, oh, where are you from? We're from California. Oh, you got to go here and here and here. Their accent was so thick. It was great. Anyway, this group of 3 Irish folks, once we told them our route and all the stops we were going to be making, they were like, oh no, you got to go here and you're going to love this. And and they gave us some destinations to go to that were absolutely the highlight of the trip. One of them is called the Kells Priory. Now, the Kells Priory is like an old medieval castle, and it's just in the middle of nowhere. And it was incredible driving out there. It was one of the most stressful driving experiences of my life, and I'm a pretty low-key person. Whew, man, it was stressful. But we get out there, and so Katie told the guy, my goal is I want to go see sheep. And I don't get it. Katie likes sheep. And he's like, oh, there's plenty of sheep out there. You might have to push away some sheep to get to the castle, And we're like, okay, fine. So we get there, and there's this beautiful field with some sheep in it and the castle in the distance. Nobody there. I'm sure many of you have seen Instagram posts, right, where you have some influencer out there, and they're like, oh, look at here, there's nobody around. That's BS, man. Most of these tourist sites are so freaking packed with people, you can't get a good shot anywhere. So we roll out to Kells Priory, and I'm not exaggerating, there was not a soul on this property. And here's one of the pictures from Kells Priory. And, there's a little picture of the sheep in the field. You got to walk through this fence and just, the sheep wouldn't go near you, but it was full of sheep in little castles like this. Beautiful. And it's something that's not in, TripAdvisor, stuff like that. Now, what else do I have? This is another really cool castle. I forgot exactly where this was. We went to all kinds of different castles, but I'm claustrophobic, so climbing up some of these towers in these castles was a challenge. It was really scary, some of them. Of course, we did the obligatory Jameson distillery. I'm a big fan of Jameson, and by the way, I'm a whiskey connoisseur, not connoisseur. I enjoy a good glass of whiskey every now and again. Jameson, I didn't realize the kind of the pedigree and history of it. There's this big feud between the Irish of who invented whiskey. Is it the Scotsmen or is it the Irish? Well, Jameson actually was Scottish, and he came to Ireland. Anyway, they're one of the best whiskeys out there. If you're looking for an Irish whiskey, man, they're a delicious one. So we did a lot of drinking of whiskeys. That was fun. Also did the Guinness Brewery Tour. That was an interesting one as well. We did have great weather this day, but the weather kind of soured. This was day number 1. This is Dublin. So we got to our hotel, and we had the top floor with just a gorgeous view. I mean, this really set the tone for the trip. It was just fantastic. Gorgeous day in Dublin. I enjoyed Dublin, but I'll give you my ranking of stories here in a little bit, of cities. This is also Dublin, I believe. This is getting down into, this is Kilkenny, which is my favorite part of Ireland. I'm a big fan of the Kilkenny beer as well. But Kilkenny is a smaller village. If you look at Ireland, you have Dublin, which is, over 1 million people, and then you have Cork, which is like 200-something thousand. That's its second largest city. From there, your best bet is to drive through like the dot on the road. Like if you look at the map, you'll see just a little dot and it'll say Aubrey. Just go to those tiny little places, because that is, to me, is the true Irish experience. Dublin is not. Dublin's a tourist trap. So is Cork. Kilkenny was much more intimate. more bars than you could possibly imagine. Every bar had live music. Like 7 nights a week. It was crazy. And it's all playing the same basic, traditional Irish music, which is fun. It gets a little old after a while. But Kilkenny was absolutely fantastic. We didn't fly Aer Lingus. We heard bad things about them. Steve says, is Ireland affordable? Alcohol is cheaper than the United States. Food is more expensive. I felt like some of the meals, I thought we were getting gouged, man. It just felt like so much more expensive for food. But I would say, compared to where I live here in Southern California, I would say it was slightly higher overall cost-wise. Hey, Rob, good to see you. Of course, Rob joined us on a session when I'm not really talking trading anymore. We're talking about going to Ireland, my friend. This is that Kells Priory again. Again, just fields of sheep and just beautiful skies. Oh, so good. Somebody killed Kenny. And there we are having a little, this is actually the Sullivan's Brewery. That's Katie and I. Sullivan's Brewery was kind of a newer one, but right down, it's in Kilkenny. Delicious. I don't know why I have so many pictures of these damn sheep. I could not get Katie to stop playing with the damn sheep. This girl is more interested in the sheep than she is castles that were built in like the year 1000. So funny. I'm like, Katie, we have to go. Come on, let's go. Yes, Katie's very cute. Here is some of the more scenic stuff. And again, there's no rhyme or reason to how I put these pictures in. I know some of you just asked to see them, so I'm just kind of throwing them out here. This is a really dramatic shot. I mean, look at the sky in this picture. It looks like something fresh out of Mordor, where you're seeing the Eye of Sauron, the dark, ominous clouds, but beautiful castle in the distance and just great foliage. There is a tremendous amount of greenery. Like, it just doesn't stop in Ireland. I love it. What else did I have here? Another castle. This is Blarney Castle. So just like all tourists do, and I had to throw myself in the tourist category. I like to consider myself more of a traveler, but this was, John says, next time a petting zoo. I'm going to tell her that, John. That's a good one. Most travelers are considered tourists because you're just going there and you're experiencing that. I like to call myself a traveler, where I think it's more about I'm just digesting all the culture and I like to immerse myself in it and be part of the culture. Lori says, went to Blarney Castle. You kind of have to do it, right? It's just the tourist trap. You got to go to Blarney Castle. Anyway, this is Blarney Castle, and that's up at the top of Blarney Castle. They have these beautiful fields all behind us. And of course, I had to kiss the Blarney Stone, which I didn't realize. Does anybody here know? When you kiss the Blarney Stone, what is the perk, right? What special power do you get by kissing the Blarney Stone? And I got to be careful here because I think I've already got this gift. Some of you might know what it is, and there's a delay, so I'll wait. But what is the reward for kissing the Blarney Stone? What is it supposed to empower you with? Well, I went full Monty. I went way down there. You have to kiss the very last little rock right here, which honestly, it's got to be one of the silliest tourist traps I've ever seen in my life, but whatever. Steve, I should give you an award. Steve says cold sores. Yeah, it's funny because they actually do wipe that thing down after everybody who kisses it. So, Thomasina and Lori are correct. You get the gift of gab. Yeah, you get the gift of gab, which I think I have. So now I've got double gift of gabs, unless this is a double negative and all of a sudden I lose my gift of gab. I'm in trouble. Yeah, the gift of gab. You got it, Les. Charm. No, Margaret, I already had plenty of charm. Loaded with charm. What else did we have? This was, so we did the Ring of Kerry, which is a really interesting ride on kind of the the western peninsula of Ireland. I'll show you here real quick. Let me bring up a map. We turned this into a tour show today. The ways we digress in this program sometimes. I apologize for those who want just nothing but trading today, but life gets in the way. Let me show you where the Ring of Kerry is on here. So for anybody who's planning a trip, we started off in Dublin, which obviously is up here, and then we went down to Kilkenny, then we went down to Cork, we went over to Killarney, which I really liked Killarney. This is Killarney over here. But this whole road traveled right here is called the Ring of Kerry. It's a major tourist trap as well, and I was going to drive it, but I'd been driving a lot, and Katie said, let's just take a bus tour. I said, okay, great. So we did a bus tour, and some of these stops here are just amazing. I wanted to go, some of you are going to hate me, there's a town right here called Dingle. I wanted to drive to Dingle just to buy some berries and stand there in front of the sign so it said Dingleberries. That's how weird I am. Anyway, we basically did this whole big loop right here. We did do a boat ride. I'll tell you that one in a second. We went to the Aran Islands, which is by the Cliffs of Moher. We actually went to a couple really cool spots, but I'm trying to find the exact spots here. I don't remember where the Aran Islands were, but the Cliffs of Moher. This whole area is just incredibly gorgeous. If you have a chance, do the Ring of Kerry, but just so you know where we were, the total western portion of Ireland was this Ring of Kerry. Gorgeous. And that's what some of these other pictures are going to be. This is the road out to the Ring of Kerry. This is like a 1.25 width road. And you had tour buses going one direction and cars coming the other. This is a rare shot of nobody on the road, but those that have been there, you understand how dangerous this is. These roads are just insane. I don't know why more cars just aren't shredded from getting hit. A lot of these cool little, primitive outcropping rock formations people had built. Another gorgeous castle, just giant. It got a little windy. Actually, this day was so windy, it was incredible. But I had to dramatize this a little bit. But it's kind of funny because it looks like I'm flying, getting blown away by the wind on this one. I had fun with that picture. Where was this castle? This was Bill. Oh gosh, Katie knows the name of this one. Bill something castle. It was a really cool castle, and what made this one unique is you paid for their tour, and it was almost like going to Disneyland. They gave you a tour inside the grounds, and they built this little city. And inside the city, they had a blacksmith, they had the markets, they had the pubs, like it would be back in the 14 and 1500s. We didn't see one car wreck. Not one accident. Nobody pulled over exchanging numbers. Nothing. Shocking, Liz. Yeah, no, none of it at all. It was really mind-boggling that we didn't have, anything more than that. Here's just another example of just a cute town. I mean, I love stuff like this. This was in Kilkenny again. Gorgeous day. There is a vehicle road, but most of the time it's just foot traffic. Just gorgeous. Loved it. This is that giant freighter that was just abandoned on rocks on the Aran Islands. And you can see it in the background over there with these like from Mars lunar escape with these rocks, all limestone out there. These are the Cliffs of Moher. I wish I had prizes for you, but I learned something really unique on this trip. And the Cliffs of Moher were incredible. This is looking obviously off one side, and I think this is the other side of the Cliffs of Moher. Can you guys tell me what movies, too, were filmed at the Cliffs of Moher? It should be a trivia question. Maybe I'll use that as my bonus question for tonight. But which movies were filmed at the Cliffs of Moher? And I didn't realize this, but one of my favorite movies of all time is called The Princess Bride. The Princess Bride. And The Princess Bride, there's a scene where they show the Dread Pirate Roberts climbing up the Cliffs of Insanity. And these are the Cliffs of Insanity. They're like 750 feet straight up. It's pretty amazing. Let's go back to that one because this part here was just absolutely incredible. But yeah, it was the Cliffs of Insanity in Princess Bride, and also it was in a Harry Potter movie that they used these cliffs as well. All right, and last one. This was the most stressful part of the trip. We got to Killarney and spent 2 days in Killarney, and we had the rental car, and look how wide it is. I mean, I don't know what my wingspan is. It's probably 6 feet. It was so narrow getting into this parking garage. I cannot believe I didn't scratch or damage the car significantly. And I don't know how anybody could drive there. This was hands down the most stressful part. I was losing it. It was just, oh my gosh. Very, very tiny parking garages. And then even to get in there, you can't turn around. It's super small. Anyway, that's a quick tour of Ireland. Hopefully, sorry for those of you who want nothing to do with the trip there, but I was asked to show some of the Ireland trips, and there you go. Let's see, what comments again here? Thank you, Fury. So I did take a boat ride, and I actually have a video of it, and I didn't take that off my phone. It was brutal. So you're in the North Atlantic Ocean, and it was an incredibly windy day. Very, 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 very windy day. I have no problem with seasickness, but people were blowing chunks on that boat. It was rocking so bad. I mean, and the upstairs was all exposed, and so and a huge wave. So when it hit, the mist would just blast everybody behind us and just flood them. So yeah, it was very, very rough. I enjoyed it though. It was kind of fun. About how wide was the car? They drive dinkies there. Yeah, my car was pretty small, Tofi. Thank goodness. Don't ever rent a full-size car in Ireland. Get the smallest car you can. You want it. It's much better for parking. It's much better for driving and turning in narrow roads. Yeah. Yeah. Merlin, did you look at real estate? I did not look at real estate there, Steve. I did not at all. I think I'll be honest. Ireland would be a tough one for me to live in. I like big cities and I like activity and things to do. I also like sunshine a lot more than what I witnessed in Ireland. And mind you, we were in the high season in Ireland, and we had a couple really nice sunny days. But for the most part, it was just cloudy, if not drizzly and rainy. It's not my thing. I like sunny weather. You know, I'll stick to my SoCal for now. But I definitely need to be near a beach. I need to be near water and warmer weather. I like warmer weather. So Ireland probably would not be on my list, but I certainly would go back and visit again. I'd like to do Northern Ireland next time, go to Belfast. I don't know why, but I'm just kind of fascinated with Belfast because that's where the Titanic was built. So in my mind, it's bucket list items, you know. Kiss the Blarney Stone, check that one off the list. You know, you got these little things that you accomplish along the way. Going to see that one would be good. Was gas expensive? Yes. I can't remember. I want to say it was either $1.17 or $1.70 a liter. Now, I only filled up one time. Luckily, the vehicle that we got had 52 miles a gallon. I love it. Absolutely fantastic that it was we got that kind of gas mileage. But as far as looking at real estate in Ireland, it's beautiful. It's green. The people are incredibly kind, very friendly. We only had one person who was really overtly rude, and that was just a worker in a restaurant. She was just kind of like, just didn't care. Just wish we wouldn't there. Otherwise, everybody else, fantastic. I would highly recommend going to Ireland. You know, I'm a big proponent of, or at least my philosophy is, I don't care what color your skin is. I don't care what religion you believe. I don't care what you look like, how many arms you have, how many legs you have, your sexual orientation. We're all here for a very short window of time. So experiencing more culture, seeing more things, learning more about how other people do it, I think makes you a better person. And so Ireland's done. Checked off that list. Next time, maybe if I do Europe again, it'll be Portugal. But see as much of the world as you can. Why not? It's a very limited time we have on this planet, so you'll never be able to see it all in our lifetime. Let's hope he says, those are my kind of vacations. I did bucket list items, meaning, yep, I did the Loch Ness as well. I have a bunch of pictures from the shores of Loch Ness trying to take pictures. Maybe she was having a bad day. And by the way, if you have the opportunity, I would encourage you to try one time to drive on the wrong side of the road. Driving on the wrong side of the road is okay. It's when you have to turn. Because there were times where I'm making a right-hand turn across a road, and my instinct is to instantly turn into the right side of the road. No. Got to go to the left side. That was tricky. Heck yeah. All right. Hey, Big Ab, good to see you. You missed all the pictures. Rob, I already did the pictures. I did the pictures. No more pictures. Let's see. What time we got? Other than, I only made one trade today, and that was on the NQ. I did an opening range breakout on the futures and got a few points out of that. That was really it for me, but I was teaching this morning, so not much else to discuss here. Let's run through what happened in our market today. Obviously, a bit of euphoria going on. We'll start with the worst and go to first. For anybody who's trading crude oil, you know, I've been expecting a bounce on crude oil, either at this yellow box or at that trend line, which was kind of a double bottom. We got a double bottom here on crude oil, and then it ripped up. But keep an eye on this one for tomorrow. This is a bearish Harami formation. You had a big up move yesterday, and then today fits completely inside the body of yesterday. So this is what is considered a bearish Harami. I would be looking for downside move tomorrow on crude oil. And if you're looking for rules, well, the rule would be if it opens up above 78.16 and then breaks down below that, there's your shorting opportunity. Big Eb says, did you do the Temple Bar? Yes, we were actually in right downtown Temple Bar area. So the Temple Bar, there is a specific Temple Bar in the Temple Bar area, but every bar on the wall says Temple Bar because that's the area. It's an area of Dublin, which is just nothing but bar, 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 bar. It's crazy. There's probably more bars in Ireland, not just Dublin, but even on the regular towns, than I've seen in my life in any city. So for those of you who don't drink, might be a challenging experience. You're like, do you have any more water? All right, so that was your crude oil one. Again, looks bearish for tomorrow. We got that 10-year, which continues to drift lower. Came up and retested that 4%. Looks like it's headed lower from here. So that trend is your friend until the bend at the end at this point. Big Eb, you weren't watching that day when I made this one here. I said I had to change my font and change it to Merlin owes Big Eb a beer, which is final now. It's no longer hypothetical. Damn it, you're costing me an arm and a leg, buddy. We'll have to set up something. I owe Mike a beer, and I owe you one. Mike, let me know next time you're down here for a mastermind meetup, and then Big Eb, and we'll have to figure some way out to have a beer or 3. Dollar index. We are, again, back down to this 102.66 level. To me, this is very important. I think the dollar index, we talked about this yesterday. I mentioned that I don't believe that the yen carry trade is done yet, the unwinding of it, which means more pressure on the dollar. Those that are loaded up on that carry trade, which could be $1 trillion worth, are going to have to sell U.S. dollars, buy yen to pay back those loans. So I do expect that dollar to continue to drop here, and that should, in theory, act as a catalyst for the equity markets. But the equity markets are also getting hit by selling because of the carry trade. So kind of a very interesting time with regards to market direction. Gold. All-time closing high for gold today. Here's your GC futures. 25.07 is where we're at. Again, trend is your friend to the bend at the end. Looks okay. It is memorialized, Big Ev. It definitely is. And then we'll get near our podium here. Russell 2000. Man, we screamed up. We ripped outside of that yellow box we had and then came crashing back into it. Personally, I don't believe that yellow box is relevant anymore. But really interesting to see it just erase all those fantastic gains, which I was shaking my head at going, this doesn't make any sense. Personally, this feels like market manipulation. But, that's a lot of money to manipulate a market that big. But it just feels manipulated. All right, podium time. Silver medal. And bronze medal. Don't worry, we're not going to take this away like we did for the U.S. gymnasts. This will stay in third place here today. The S&P 500, 1.66% move. Things looking fantastic. I don't really know what else to say here other than market was ripping today and momentum might carry it a little bit higher. If it does, then, of course, you got a lot of these bullish plays to continue riding to the upside. I don't see any real reason why it shouldn't go down other than the CPI number that's coming out tomorrow. So I'll get to that here in just a second. Number 2, NASDAQ. This is where I made my trades today. Again, I had the expectation was that we were going to see some sell-off here in the equity markets, but we didn't get that today. We just got a nice rally up. So, when you look at this picture here, what am I to believe? Am I supposed to believe this kind of longer-term trend to the upside is bullish, and we've had a small pullback, and this is the bounce? Or am I to believe that the shorter-term trend, which is down, and this is a pullback into it? These are the tougher trades to make, is when you have that kind of indecision, which is why I've been trying to spend a little bit more time just day trading, because it's easier to day trade. Who cares what the longer-term trend is? 2.49% for that NASDAQ today. Boom. Amazing. And then Bitcoin, 3.22% pop. And you'll look right here. Right, that was your inflationary data, I think, really kicked that one in a high gear. So you had a pretty nice day up for Bitcoin. Again, 3.22%. To Eric's question, he says, what are your thoughts on the crypto markets now? Anything change? No, nothing has changed. I am no longer bearish. Remember, I was bearish for a while, expecting prices to come back down because of the halving, just the historical cycle of halving. And I made the comment, when we have, this is back in April, I said historically it'll sell off for a little while, and I thought we might drift a little bit lower. I thought we'd get down to 50,000. We did get to 50,000, and I said that'll probably stop around mid-August to early September. I think we've turned that corner. I think that I doubt we'll break 50. If we do, that'll be a buying opportunity, and then I think the real rally is going to start as we get closer to elections. I think October you'll start to see it really have some move, and then I'm telling you, I'm going out on a limb here, but I'm going to say that Kamala Harris and the Democrats are going to change their stance on Bitcoin. Maybe not crypto as a whole, but Bitcoin. And when that happens, you have all 3 candidates are going to be positive on Bitcoin. Then I think you're going to start to see the big move. And then whoever gets elected and implements their plan that they say they're going to implement, we could see some really big moves to the upside. So at this point, I'm bullish. I think you'll see sideways to slightly up for the next couple weeks, and then momentum will start to pick up. We'll be breaking. My guess is by the end of October, we'll be back through those all-time highs and starting to seek out that 100,000 on Bitcoin. Let's see what else I got. Market is grumpy in August. It is. Did you buy Bitcoin? No, I didn't. I've got enough. I have enough capital in crypto right now. I would like to buy more, but I need to. I want to get back to more active short-term trading. So I'm pushing capital into those accounts so I can do more short-term trading because, not like I didn't have enough to do, but I might have more free time in my hands here soon. Who knows? The future is pretty uncertain for me, so we will probably try to go back to doing more trading, which will be enjoyable for me. Gio, that's right. Don't forget to hit that like button, guys. Hit the subscribe for those of you who might be new. If you guys have anything that you want me to cover for tomorrow's show, I'm all ears, wide open to whatever you need. Friday's show, I'm doing a show Friday, but I'm gonna have to wrap it up a little bit early. I gotta take the dog to the vet, and then on Monday I've got a doctor's appointment, which I'm not sure I'll be making a show on Monday. I'll let you know. I'm gonna call him and see how long that's going to be. It's all kinds of blood work and all kinds of reports and stuff. So we'll see. Nothing to worry about. It was just formalities, but that might take some time. So we'll see. There he is with a date. Who's with a date? I think I should do my. Should not tax. I think they should not tax tips. My idea. I agree, but a lot of people tip on the credit card, and a lot of times those tips don't go to the waiters. So if you're going to tip someone, you should do it in cash. You should certainly do it in cash. My whole salary is going to be. All right, that's going to do it for me, everybody. Oh no, it's not going to do it for me. We didn't talk about earnings calendar. Sorry, I don't want to. You cannot shortchange that. Here's the big stuff. And again, I mentioned how they lower the bar here, and I think they actually raise it high. In this case, we're not trying to beat the bar; we're trying to get under the bar. So they raised that bar on CPI or PPI, excuse me. They thought it would be 0.2%. We came out at 0.1. Even more support for the Fed to cut rates in September, and then tomorrow, if you look at their announcements, we have the CPI numbers coming out tomorrow, 1 hour before the equity markets open. They're expecting CPI numbers to jump, but based off what happened with PPI, I don't think so. You look at it, it says negative 0.1 was the previous number. They think it's going to be 0.2%. It will probably be 0.2 or lower. My guess is 0.1 based off what I saw with the PPI number today, and that will be another positive factor for our markets going forward. That's really your big stuff for tomorrow is the CPI numbers, but you also have crude oil inventories, and don't forget, for those of you trading Forex, New Zealand dollar is having a rate announcement this evening. 5.5% is where they are expected to stay with their announcement. How are the oil service stocks doing? Well, we'll see. I'm not going to get into that one right now because I got 5 minutes left and I got to wrap up. What else do I see here? What about buying an ETF on, if you're talking about on Bitcoin, right? If you're talking about buying an ETF for Bitcoin, I would use IBIT. I'd use IBIT. They've got some of the better fees, and it's BlackRock. It has the most volume as well, most liquidity. Let's see what else I got here. There's a place where you kiss the stone for luck. Did you kiss it? Yes, Rob. That's the Blarney Stone. I showed pictures of Blarney Castle, and big ups that the Blarney Stone is unsanitary. They actually sit there with a rag with sanitizing spray after everybody kisses it, Big Eb, and they wipe it down. But for those that weren't there, this is me kissing the Blarney Stone. We'll see if the cold sores start to pop up next week, right? Anyway, all right, Gerg, that'll do it. I did the Blarney Stone and then a couple other fun things, but hope you guys enjoyed the pictures. Live vicariously through me. We'll see what the next trip holds. CPI is your big number for tomorrow. Be careful with that one. You do have a couple earnings announcements. I didn't bring those ones up. You did have Home Depot today. They beat. Tomorrow, you've got Cisco Systems. That's pretty much the biggest one. You have Cisco, UBS, and yeah, that's going to be it. Cool. Thanks, everybody. That's going to do it for me. If you want something covered on tomorrow's show, email me, TraderMerlin@gmail.com. Let me know what it is, or comment down below any of the YouTube videos. That said, take care, everybody. I will see you mañana.